Hi everyone, Mark from Go Fast Hobbies and Raceway, and today we're going to mount a sprint car body on a Team GFRP 25 Hustler. Same body kit that's mounted on the Assault and the GFR1 as well. So let's get started, and welcome back to another Tech Tip Tuesday. So we're going to get started here with the 25 Hustler and mounting a cage and body on it. I'm going to use a Blanton cage on it. They come in a variety of colors. These are for the GFRP cars. He has them available for customers' cars as well. Virtually the same cage as the quasi-speed cage that comes with the car and the body kit that comes with the car. And I'm going to go over all the tools and stuff that you really need to do this. First off, you'll need a Dremel tool with some type of a cone stone on it. And I'll go over that here in a little bit, why you're going to need that. And then also a drill. And I use these types of drill bits, the DeWalt stuff. Something that's not a cheap drill bit, even though it's plastic, it will dull. So you might go through 2 of these drill bits, mounting a complete body with the wings and everything. But that's the size I use. And also, you'll need a body reamer, a good body reamer as well. And then your general tools, Lexan scissors, and a Sharpie as well. So quite a few things needed to do this. This is kind of a complex thing. I'm not really sure why no one else has done a video on this before. But we'll get started with mounting the body and how you do it. We'll pull it out of the bag here. And I'll go over all this with you guys and how I break this all down and do this. Got your nose cone, your tail tank, your hood and your visor, and your side panels. You can see I've prepped the car already. I put the front down tubes on it, which you'll need to do, and the rear bumper as well. I've left the side panels, side pieces of the cage separate, as well as the halo and the wing buttons and all the hardware as well for that. So what I do, how I do this, is I trim out all the flashing around the nose. Usually, since this is a rubber tire car, foam tire car, you can cut it off right on the line. It's usually going to be really close, but on a rubber tire car, I cut it down here to leave just a little bit extra meat, and I'll show you why here later on in the video, why I do that. The tail tank, I just cut on the lines that are right here, trim that all out, get that trimmed out. So we'll get started with that. I'll cut those out and we'll go over that stuff first. I kind of do this in steps so you guys can see how I do this. And so we'll get going. What some guys do, I recommend doing the first time you do this, is draw a line on the cut lines. These bodies have really detailed cut lines, which is really nice for cutting. I've done this a bunch. Normally I don't put the cut lines on there. I'm going to do it so you guys can see where you want to cut at. So she's pretty well trimmed out. And I use the stone on the Dremel to clean this up in here. This is where the down tubes go. You always want to make sure all the extra material is cleaned out of there. So this sets flush on the tube. So get that prepped, and I'll do the tail tank. Like I said, the cut lines on this are really defined. So you just take your scissors and you trim around all the cut lines, and I'll get you where you need to be at. Nothing too fancy here. Like I said, it's the first time you're cutting one of these bodies out. It's going to take you a little bit of time to get used to using curved scissors and cutting these tail tanks out. And the side panels are definitely a lot more involved. We'll get to that here in a little bit. That's trimmed out pretty close. You can take the stone on a Dremel tool and clean that up a little bit more if you would like. And we'll go ahead and put the nose cone on the car. Set it on there just like that. You want to make sure, as you can see here, that this is down in there. See how that looks. So you can see that really well. Now, this is where everyone gets confused. Take your Sharpie. You can do it one side at a time. You can do both sides. I usually try to hold my finger right here in the middle of it like that. Mark this thing. Where the holes are at. Both sides. Over here. So the holes in the front are the pass-through holes. The two back here for your wing mount, so you don't have to drill them all the way through. Pull this thing off. It's just got a bunch of little black marks on it. Pull your drill bit out. Drill bit in the drill. Just kind of want to walk on that. You always want to make sure you line it up with the hole on the other side. That way your hole's true. So it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, especially if black sand is kind of hard to drill through. It's the easiest way I found to do it. I'll show you how to clean the holes up here in just a second. And I always set the drill. You can see it's just sitting here on the table. That way I'm not holding it, trying to steady it. That way I can steady my hands and use my hands to do this. All right, drill the other two up here. Let's be tricky. Well, some guys will say I just use a reamer, and I've done that before. This is the easiest way when you're starting out to do it. That way, if you set the drill on the table, it helps steady the drill, and then the drill doesn't get out of control. And I just run this reamer in here, just kind of clean the holes up a little bit. You can take an X-Acto knife and cut the flashing off the backside if you want. Usually, just running this in there gets most of it out. So now you got that thing all drilled out. Once again, I always leave a little extra material on here. I don't cut right on this cut line up here. You can cut on that cut line if you want. I just leave extra material on there, and then when I go run the car, see if it's dragging. If it's not dragging, kind of like a late model. Should line up fairly close in there. to move it around a little bit to get them perfect, but they should be fairly close. And what you can do is put the bumper on there. Alright, so we got the bumper in there. The reason I do this is when I go to mount the side panels on, I know where everything lines up at and know that we're good there. As you can see in the model here, the pass-through hole right here, which is it's covered up by the wing mount here, that's the screw I put in, and these two up here. So attaches the bumper. Just a little bit better view of it without the piece of Lexan on it. Alright, tail tank. So what I like to do is these cars come with a solid post. I use a Duratrax, this right here. The reason I do that for my stuff is if you have your tail tank screwed down to a solid post, you go flipping, you back into something, it's just going to shear that off and the tail tank's going to bust. It's going to blow the tail tank off the back of the car. This post is a little long. You can trim it down. You can kind of manipulate it a little bit. It's definitely a little long out of the package, but that's the shortest one they make. And then with the body clip on there, it lets it all kind of move. You don't put it down on there tight. It kind of floats on there. It's not rigid like the way the car comes as a kit. So that's why I do it that way. And put the tail tank in there. Sometimes, you know, you're going to have to move this around, get it where you want it. Usually just kind of put it up there and then drill a hole in here and then see how close we get it. Sometimes I get them fairly close, sometimes I don't. So that's where she'll sit. Put the clip on it. So once again, it just lets it move around a lot more. You can see how the tail tank moves in there. When you bolt it down, it's rigid. Hit something, flip, it's going to just pop the tank off, rip the screw hole out. I hear a lot of people talk about that. That's a good way, you know, if you want your tail tank to last longer, do something like that. Doesn't have to be that exact post, but something like that will work really well. Okay, so we got nose cone on, tail tank on. We're going to move to the hood. Now, the hood, I'm not going to use the visor. I'm not going to cut that out. The cut lines on here are really good. You can see, you can draw a line on here where you cut that out at. Just for this video, this is a wing car, so you don't use the visor for a wing car. We're going to focus on the hood and the side panels, so this video is not any lengthier than what it is. So I'll take a Sharpie here, draw on here where you got to cut it out at, and we'll get started here. The cut lines on these bodies are actually really good. I don't particularly use a Sharpie. Once I've done, 3 or 4 of these, I've not used a Sharpie again, but just kind of draw it on here. Just doing this more so you guys can see. Okay, so I got my cut lines on there. You see these little dimples right here. There's 3 dimples. Right here, right here, right here. Now that's what will attach this hood to the side panel. You don't have to use all 3 of them. I use at least 2 of them, so it's kind of up to you. And once again, guys, this is really kind of involved, especially if you've not done this before. It's going to take you a while to do this. So this is not something that's going to be just 15, 20 minutes and you're done with the whole body kit. So I'll start cutting this thing out. So you don't have to cut these out. I know there's cut lines there. I always cut them out. Just looks a little cleaner. Lightens it up just a little bit. So we got it trimmed out. Once again, take your time with it. Don't get in a big hurry. And then I just leave it here. Now I'm going to go ahead and drill these holes in here. You can use the drill or use a reamer. I'm just going to use a reamer. So ream these out here real quick. Gotta be careful. Alright, so we got all the holes cleaned up in the sides of it. So that's pretty much complete. There'll be some minor trimming here once we get the side panels cut out. Now, on to the big task. Side panels. Biggest piece of the body. I would say the most complicated part of it. So what I do is I start by cutting these two apart. Side panel. Again, I'm going to draw a line on it. This helps you kind of guide you where you need to go. You can see that. And start cutting. Now I use curved scissors for everything. There's guys out there that think that I'm crazy, but this is what I do. Been mounting sprint car bodies for over 30 years, so the newer ones that they've came out with, the GFRP, the line cut lines are so nice on them compared to what we used to have. We didn't have lines, so it's actually really nice. Helps a lot. Sometimes cutting these things out, just got to kind of figure out what's best for you as far as like how you cut, what side you cut from, back side, front side. You flip the body around. No real particular way, just what's easiest for you. She's pretty much trimmed out. I'll do the other side and then we'll finish it up. I'll show you how we finish that up. Again, I'll draw the lines on it for you guys. There we have it. So you can see a lot of that stuff I cut from the inside out. It's just easier for me to do it that way. So now that we got our side panels cut out, both the left and the right cut out. Going to show you how I mount them to the side, cage side. Found this is the easiest way to do it. And on Blanton's cages, what's nice is there's a flat side and there's a round side. I don't know if you can see that or not. Kind of hard to see. It's flatter on one side and it's rounded on the other side. I don't know if you can see it. But you take your flat side, that's the side you want to mount your flat panel to. And you notice this is sticking up. If you lay it on there, it doesn't lay flat. So you got to notch this out right here. I'll show you how I do that. Lay the back corner in here, get the corner where it's lined up. See it there. Hopefully you see it there. Get it to where it's going to go. So essentially going to be right in there. That's where it's going to be at. So take this Sharpie, put a marker right here. And I take the Dremel and I ream that out. So it's much flatter. About right in there is where you want it at. Same thing with this up here. You can see it's kind of not wanting to lay flat, so I just trim that off with a pair of scissors. Now you can do the same thing up here. It's kind of, I usually do, where it kind of wraps around the cage. Use a pair of scissors on that and trim that out. So normally what I do is, get it spun around here so you can see. I usually try to mount the bottom of the cage right in this situation, right in here where this, right there. See that? I'm going to put a Sharpie over and cover it up, but right there. And I go through, and with, depending on where you want your Nerf bars at, you want them forward, you want them back. We're going to put them back to where I want them at. And then there's holes here that are countersunk. You do not want to mark those holes. You want to mark up here. That's where the wing button will go. Oh, it turned on me. Make sure I got it squared back up. It's hard to do it this way. I'm doing it this way so you guys can see. And then back here. Mark that. So you got all your side panel holes marked. And now you can either use the drill bit or you can use the reamer and ream them all out. That's up to you. However you want to do it. Whatever works best for you. I can't stress this enough. Make sure you guys take your time with this. Don't get in a big hurry with it. It's going to take time, especially if you've not mounted one before. It's going to take you a while, and that's okay. If you get in a big hurry, you're going to mess stuff up, and you're just not going to have fun doing it. So now I've got all the holes cut in it. You always want to make sure you put the cap back on. So, like that. And this slides right on there. That. So sometimes you have to open the holes up a little bit more because stuff doesn't quite line up perfect. Things move around on you. Like I said, I've been doing this 30 years. It's hard to mount one of these perfect. And I always thread all the screws in to make sure everything's going to line up first before I bolt everything down. Just want to make sure everything's going to fit right. Got one side down. One to go. Now there's guys out there who'll paint the body before they mount it. I do not do that. I recommend that you do this clear, assemble all of it, put it all together, take it all back apart. And that's a lot of work. You can use an electric screwdriver. I'm just using a hand screwdriver for demonstration purposes here. But just make sure that you put it together clear before you paint it. Don't paint it, because you will hate life if you paint this and try to put it all together, especially your first one. All right, so that side's done. Set it over here. Now we'll do the other side. Again, flat side of the cage, flat side of the body. Same things I did on the other side, same way. This one's a little less involved because it doesn't have the mud guard on it. Alright, she's laying flat, happy with her, how she's sitting. Now we're going to mark the holes. Alright, same thing as you do on the other side. Bolt her all together. What I will say is leave the cage wing mount screw out, so when you go to bolt it together, it just makes it easier. Bolt the Nerf bar on. You can put the wing button on it. We got it together. If you made it this far, it's awful long, time-consuming process. If you've never done it before, that's okay. Just take your time. Don't get in a hurry, and it'll be okay. So we got it all together here. We got to put the hood in it. I had multiple emails from all the people trying to figure out how to put this in. They don't understand how it goes. Doesn't make any sense. So we're going to try to simplify that for you. Put it in here, it goes down in here, just like this. It's sitting pretty high right here. See how it's sitting up? It's not wanting to go in there. Can only go so far because of the front of the cage. Get it in there. Kind of see how it's not really happy. It's just kind of sitting in there, kind of wonky. So what you're going to do is you're going to trim these ears out back here, right here, this right here, and that's going to relieve it. And it's going to let it sit down into the cage better. So here we go. You use scissors. Kind of rough cut it here and see where we're at. Sit in there better. It's already looking better. Look at that. Sitting down in there. More where it needs to be. So then we're gonna take the Dremel here, clean all this up really nice. So there is no cut line for this. See how I recessed that? It's gonna fit around the roll cage, and that's gonna allow the hood to sit in there properly. Just like that. So it sits flush on the sides. Hopefully you can see that in the photo quite well. See up in here how it sits up in there. Then what you do is squeeze her together, make sure it's sitting in there. You can kind of look at it, make sure it's straight. And these holes here, see where they're at right here. So this one, like once you recess it, the hole is back really close to the upright here, as you can see there. That's why I only put these two in. I drilled that out just so you guys could see that. If you look at all my cars, they usually just have the front two in there. So that's why. Take your marker. So we got our holes marked for the hood. Pop the hood out, and we're going to drill these holes. Now there's no way of really knowing where the hood's at when you have the side panel laying flat. Ideally, put these holes in there before you mount it to the cage, but there's no really way of knowing because all these are a little bit different. You get the side panels off a little bit, so your holes are going to be in different locations. This is the best way I found to do this, and also the easiest way. So we're going to go ahead and drill the holes. Slip this thing back in there. Take your plastic screws. Put them in there. So got the hood securely attached to the cage and the body sides. You can see, once again, pretty much pointless to drill that hole out. Just drill the first two out, call it good. It'll stay in there. It's not going to go nowhere. So, move on to putting it on the car. Make sure everything fits like it should. And put it down in here around the shock towel. Got the hood mounted to the side panels and to the cage, and we're going to fit it on the car. So another reason that you do this clear, because not all times this goes as planned. You kind of got to modify the body work or trim on it. This body and cage is designed to fit on 3 different cars. It's designed to fit on the Paradigm, which is a 5.7 Designs conversion car, and it's designed to fit on the GFR1, the Hustler, and the Assault. Now this body work bolted together like this, I will fit right on an Assault with very little modifications. All the other cars you do have to modify it to make it fit. So that's what we're going to do. It does take some finagling to get it down in there. It sits down in there. Do a little extra trimming on it. As you can see here, I trimmed the hood out some more to get clearance, so it goes over shock tower. I had to radius this out more to get clearance for the shock tower as well on the Hustler. Like I said, this is used on various different cars, so trimming it, it's just going to take you a while to get it to fit. That's why I always recommend doing this before you paint it. Get it all to fit, get it all in there. So we got it all assembled here. A little extra trimming on it. Took quite a while to get everything clearance. I ended up just cutting this straight off where the ears were at on both sides to get it to where it fits better on this car. The nose going around the shock tower is definitely a pain in the butt to get on there. I'll probably do a little bit more trimming on that just so it's easier to get on and off there. But yeah, we got her together. This is what she should look like. Put the wings on it. So you want to clearance this side right here. Just make sure you just put a mark on it where you can, that way you can see where you're going with it right there. So she's clearanced out. The arm's got plenty of clearance there. The right side appears to be good. Like I said previously, this body kit's used on many different cars as the 5.7 designs, conversion cars, as well as GFR1, Hustler, and the Assault. So there will be additional, once you get it kind of put together, there will be additional trim work to do with it. And then right now she's ready for paint. And then what I do is I take everything apart and wash it with soap and water, Dawn dish soap, lightly clean it. And I don't sand it or anything like that. I just spray it. I like using the Traxxas paint or the Duratrax paint to paint my bodies. There's a lot of guys who use the Tamiya paint because it's smoother. They say it's easier to clean, which I will agree with that. But if you use too much of this or put it on too heavy, it can actually crack or eat the Lexan. It can etch the Lexan and ruin the Lexan. So you got to be careful with that paint. It's more aggressive paint than these two. These two are a little bit more user-friendly for people that have just started. The other thing is, too, like when you clean the body, I recommend just using warm water. No type of chemical like Simple Green or dish soap on the outside of it or anything like that. Definitely do not use Loctite around Lexan because Loctite eats Lexan. And if Simple Green gets down behind the screws, it will eat that and crack that as well. So just use like warm water to wash it off with when you're done racing at the end of the day. That's what we do. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you guys have learned a lot. Like I said, take your time doing it. That's the main thing with it. It's time consuming, and especially if you've not done it before. The first one will be pretty rough on you, but you'll get there. Hopefully you liked the video. Check out my other videos. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.